is going to get started. This is our first meeting after a summer break, Tuesday, August the 19th. And with that, the meeting is called to order. And Maria Luisa, if you please lead us to a Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh,
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You are an unsung hero to show respect.
Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Holland,
Here.
Mr. Martinez, Mr. Rodriguez-Pina, Ms. Fano, Mr. Vasquez, Ms. Weinberg. Here. Secretary Pago.
Here.
Treasurer Fernandez Guzman.
Here.
Vice Chair Ferre. Chair
Here, and Ms.
Gutierrez.
Fano was on the phone a moment
Yes,
ago.
yes. Forum, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, we're going to set the agenda as presented. And remember, we have a revised agenda in the folder packet. So do I hear a motion?
So move.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are recorded. Okay? The attorney?
Do any of the members have any conflicts to declare? Madam Chair, it appears there are none.
Very good. And with that, we turn to item E for citizens' comments. Do we have anyone that has asked to be present? Welcome. If you please step forward, and although we know you, welcome to MDX. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Carlos Garcia, 127th Avenue in Kendall, and thank you for the opportunity today to speak with you. And before you, and congratulations on your new position, Madam Chair. And welcome to Board Member Vasquez. This is my first meeting with you attending, and thank you. To follow up what my previous comments that I requested in April, I was not present at the May meeting, but I did see the Executive Director's report regarding my request for some sort of recording or video recording of committee meetings. I know that you had given an estimate, a ballpark of, I don't know, somewhere around $100,000 to do that, and whatnot. And I still believe that that's going to bring a lot of value to the way the agency communicates and also to the level of transparency. And I'm continuing, to request that. It may seem like a lot of money, but in reality, it's not for what it can bring you in the eyes of the public and the toll payers. And having attended several committee meetings, I know that a lot of things get discussed at the committee level, and then they're brought up to the board level. But it gets digested by the board level, and really there's a lot of information there that committee level I think that the public needs to know and would be very curious to find out about. That would be it. I would look forward to your Executive Director's report and any comments you might have, any progress on that request.
We did not forget your request. We heard you loud and clear, and we all are in agreement that all our meetings should be public record, as they are. So a decision has been made in the first meeting of our public communication meeting that they will all be recorded. So starting immediately, you will see them on our website, that all the meetings are recorded. Auto recorded. We don't feel that our faces need to be, and we have to spend more money for our faces to be online. But as long as our voice, our decisions, and everything else that is being said in the meeting are being audio taped and played, they'll be there. So
Right. Well, that's good. I'm glad to see the progress, and thank you again for the expeditious manner which some of the videos have been uploaded to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for doing that.
And Madam Chair, if I may, through
Yes.
the chair, the audio files will be immediately uploaded to the YouTube channel as
Oh,
well.
great.
So that's how we're going to do it, and Mr. Diaz is going to be working that immediately.
Yeah, that's the best way. That's the easiest way. Thank you very much.
If there's anyone else that would like to address the board, hearing no one, citizens' comment section is closed. We're going to go to item 2. It's actually the approval of the summary minutes, because what we voted on before was the agenda as set and revised. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? It's all recorded. Executive Director's report.
Madam Chair, thank you, and I have 4 items that I want to bring the board up to date with. And the first one, and I know that you'll probably expand a little later, we've been meeting with the County Commission to explain, the Secretary, myself, the Chairwoman, to explain the transfer of the Miami Intermodal Center. We've met with about half of the Board of County Commission, very positive. The next actions, the Transportation and Aviation Committee will hear this item on August 27th at 2 p.m. We'll present the transfer and address the committee's concerns. And after that committee meeting, it'll be moved over to the full County Commission, the resolution. So we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I know the chairwoman's going to speak to that a little later in the agenda. I also want to let the board know that interviews for the general counsel position began yesterday. We've interviewed four folks so far. We've got numerous more interviews this week. And after this first round of interviews, a short list will be presented to me so that I can speak with them and present it to the board for final consideration. So I'll be recommending anywhere from 3 to 4 candidates for the board to interview. I will tell you that we have gotten a lot more interest and a lot better quality. And I think it's just the times that we got past the whole legislative issues. The next item I want to bring you up to speed, and I know the Secretary's on the line, we've been actively working with Secretary Pago and his staff to see if we can join the I-395 project with the 83611, or our portion of 836, and let it as one project so that the community is not harmed twice and there's no 2 maintenance of traffics. It's the right thing to do for the community. We've been working with Secretary Pago and his staff, and hopefully later this fall, we will have a joint participation agreement similar to the one that we entered to in Section 5 of the 826-836 to present to this board. It's the right thing for this community to move that project forward as one. It also complies with the request of this board last year during the discussions of rate that we want to get in and out of 836 as fast as possible. And this is another mechanism to finish the work on 836 in an expeditious manner. The last thing I wanted to update the committee on, and I was going to speak about the strategic plan, but I'll leave that because we're at midpoint. The centralized customer service center that I've been briefing the board, as the board knows, there was a protest filed by 2 of the vendors. The administrative judge held a hearing in Tallahassee in July. Those hearings have concluded, and we're waiting for a final ruling. The judge will either tell the Department of Transportation that they followed the process and they can move forward and we can enter into negotiations with the first bidder, or they might tell the Department of Transportation that they have to amend their procurement, and then it's up to the Department of Transportation whether to re-procure or to enter into the judge's order. That is expected in September. So, you know, I knock on wood, hopefully we can move forward. But the reason I bring it up to the board is because there's an interlocal agreement that has to take place amongst the 4 toll agencies and the Florida Department of Transportation. That interlocal agreement right now is being looked at by the Florida DOT. Once they've drafted it, they're going to submit it to all the agencies for us to review. Pretty much what it talks about is the business rules, how the exchange of funds, because this is basically a clearinghouse for toll transactions. All transactions, when a customer goes through a toll lane, whether it's in Miami, Tampa, Orlando, or Florida's Turnpike, they'll get one bill. There will be one place to call, one number, or one person to resolve the issue. So part of this interlocal will describe how the funds are distributed back to the agencies to comply with our bond covenant. So that'll be coming to the board hopefully later this fall. And with that, Madam Chair, congratulations, and I stand ready to answer questions.
Are there any questions from the board members on the various items addressed by Javier? No? No questions? I am going to add something. I wished everybody a great summer, and I know every but he was busy, and hopefully everyone had an opportunity to go on vacation. But at MDX, the work didn't stop. It kept going. And that's the reason why we're moving so quickly now on the MIC situation and the contract being signed. We have the secretary up on the speaker listening to us, and he has joined us in every meeting. And together as a unison team, the effort is being moved forward. It's very positive, and I will tell you this. There's some things that we all need to keep in mind and be thinking about, and make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves until the transfer occurs. And I'm going to say this so we all remember. A commitment that we're making to our BCC leaders is that once this transfer takes over, our work would begin in identifying and realizing what the potential of the MIC enterprise can be. There are certain things that we all realize today that it must be. It must be complementary to the airport. It must take into account that it needs to be revenue positive. It has to be. That's the only way this is going to work. And whatever it is that we do with the structure, it needs to be iconic and welcoming. Very important. So it has to be something that's striking and important for Miami-Dade County. There's one catch to everything I'm saying today. There's one thing that we cannot ignore, and one thing that we have to get out of our language and our way of thinking. We're making this commitment and fulfillment that in no shape or form will this MIC enterprise entertain, in no shape or form, anything that has to do with gaming. We have to realize this, that is not the business that we're in, neither is the department, and this is how we move forward together for the greater good of Miami-Dade. And with that, I close, unless anybody has any questions.
I guess what I'm trying to find out, do you need our support and presence on the 27th? Would you like members, to the extent that they are available, to be there?
It's a public meeting, Board Member Vasquez, and if the board members, the commission, the Transportation Aviation Committee, and one of the things I explained to the commissioners is the level, the thoroughness that this board evaluated the transaction, and the thoroughness that we evaluated the financial aspects of it. There's risk here. There's no question there's risk.
I think it would send a strong message. I intend to be there, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same.
And I would
I think
agree.
it's a very good idea. Very good.
If I may, first of all, since this is the first time I've spoken, congratulations to our new chair.
Thank you.
I really think it's important, because I had problems with that in the 2 years, that we only have one chair. And I think that being there is great, but I think there should only be one person that speaks for MDX other than the executive director, and that is the chair. And I don't want to formalize it, but I think just as a matter of record, I want to say that. Okay.
Good. Thank you. Okay. As we continue forward, General Counsel, do you have a report?
We have no report at this time.
This
keep things
is
moving.
this is easy. This is easy. No report, no activity. Very good. Do we have a report from our MPO representative? Vice Chair?
That I remember, there's nothing of any substance that the MPO did
No.
at the last meeting.
At the last meeting,
That has not already been discussed.
yeah, everything's been discussed. I think the only pertinent issue that affects the authority is Commissioner Moss, or Board Member Moss requested a study for bus rapid transit.
Well, I think we
on-
reported that.
And we reported on that, so there's been no action after that.
Very good.
Well, what he said, and let's be very specific, is that there were 3 or 4 corridors that were being studied, and that it was his opinion and that of Commissioner Barbara Jordan and others that that should be expanded to include, and he added, I think, 4 additional corridors, and that included the Kendall corridor, it included the Miami Gardens area. So there's 2 north-south and 2 east-west. Is that correct? Correct.
Does this affect our roadways in any way?
In the conversations, they've all acknowledged that we are taking into account express buses on our expressways. So it's
So in other
Common
words,
knowledge.
there's always going to be an envelope that we're
there's an
going to carry.
envelope for
so-
express buses on our
Very good.
facilities.
Another move? Anything else? No? With that, we move forward with the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Treasury area, it's been a busy summer indeed. So Marie, why don't we go through the financials first? I know we have items later in the agenda, but let's go through the financials, if you will, for July.
Yes, sir, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. Treasurer, the Treasurer's report is for the first month of fiscal year 2015, or fiscal year July. Our total fee revenue was $14.5 million compared to $14.8 million on our forecast. It's down about $400,000, and this is mainly due to the way the forecast is built is more kind of smoothing out throughout the year. So overall, the total revenue is about $260,000 below the forecast. On the expense side, nothing really to kind of point out. I think it's really flat. It's the first month of the fiscal year. Nothing really stands out for us. I think we're pretty much on budget. And net revenues for the first month of the fiscal year is about $3.2 million.
Thank you, Marie. And I believe the rest of our items, Madam Chair, will be dealt with in a later agenda item.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions from the board members? Okay, with that, we continue to move forward. The committee reports we're waiving as the various items are on the agenda. First item that we vote is the consent agenda. Would you like to read it into the record, Mr. Attorney?
Certainly. The consent agenda includes travel approval for a trip September 7th through 11th, 2014 to Detroit, Michigan by board member Rodriguez Pena to attend the ITS World Congress, and a second trip on October 26th through the 28th of 2014 to Charleston by Executive Director Rodriguez to attend the Center for Association of Leadership Conference, Exceptional Board, Strengthening of the Governance Team. It's the IBTTA Executive Board meeting.
Very good.
May
Yes,
I
Mr. Vice.
speak on this? The ITS meeting, I happen to be on the board of ITS because I was requested by the then chairman of the Florida Transportation Commission to be on that board. And so FTC is paying my trip, so I will be there. I have requested a meeting with the executive chairman of the Ford Motor Company, and I just want to put that on the record, Madam Chair. So if that is granted to me, if it's all right, I will be wearing two hats, one an FTC hat and the other one the MDX hat. And if that occurs, then I'm going to ask Javier Rodriguez to be at that meeting.
You mean you're talking about the September 7th?
Yeah,
Well, the September 7th, we do have an MDX representative, which is Ivan, that's also attending. So Ivan can assist to that meeting. Rodriguez is not attending, it's Pena.
that-
It's our board
No,
member.
no, I'm
Pena.
talking about Javier Rodriguez, our executive director.
I know who you were talking
With
about.
Mr. Bill Ford. And
Right.
I'm not talking about, now, I'm not saying that I have that meeting yet, but I've requested it.
Right.
And the governor will be there, of course, the
Okay.
governor of Florida.
Well, then, we're going to need for you to let Mr. Rodriguez know, because he's currently not planning on attending, if that's the case.
That's exactly, Madam Chair, why I'm putting
That's
this
why
on the
you're putting
record.
it,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So, okay. Do we have a motion on this item? Perfect. Anyone against it? It passes unanimously. Very good. Moving on to the regular agenda. Legal? Item A, you can read it into the record.
It's MDX procurement contract number RFQ 1005, MDX work program number 11211.050, construction, engineering, and inspection services for Central Boulevard reconstruction in the amount of $484,753.13, was endorsed by the Operations Committee on August 7th, 2014.
Very good.
Juan is ready to discuss it.
Perfect. We're going to turn this over to Mr. Toledo.
Good afternoon, board members.
The action is an approval, a motion to approve the Third Amendment to the contract with Parsons Brinkerhoff for the construction engineering inspection services for the 11211 design build project. This project has been delayed by the contractor. The original end date was supposed to be March 15th. Our projected completion date, and I think we're targeting that is August 30th now. This amendment would cover the additional costs to be able to finalize the oversight of this project, as well as be able to close out the project once it's completed. The contractor is being assessed liquidated damages at about $15,000 a day, and I think the current tally is just over $2 million to date. And we intend to withhold those monies once the project is closed out.
Very good. Any questions on this item?
I have maybe one or two. The $2 million that you have in liquidated damages, I'm assuming they'll be contested?
I would say that that's a safe assumption.
Okay. Will that come back before this board?
It depends on how that claim comes in. I mean, we would wait till the claim comes in for the $2 million or for whatever portion of that $2 million they think they're entitled to. And then we'll work with procurement and with legal to see how that gets settled, or whether we settle the claim as a project issue, or if it's something that we take to the next level. We don't foresee that we would take it into a legal battle, because history on this would dictate that we would be entitled to whatever our true damages were at the end of the day, regardless of.
I don't want you to put the legal position on the record. You may not want to do that.
No, and I don't.
But,
I'm just saying, based on what we know,
okay,
and how these issues have been dealt with in the past on other contracts. We haven't dealt with LDs in our history yet. This is the first time that we've actually assessed liquidated damages on our projects, and they have become quite significant.
I would just suggest when we have the shade meeting, I know we have a shade meeting for one particular thing. I don't know if we have to notice the shade discussion, but I think we also need to talk about this one in the shade as it relates to the liquidated damages and potential legal exposure.
We won't be able to do that during this meeting, as it wasn't part of a noticed case. If this comes to be an issue in the future, we can have a session for that at that time, but discussions during this afternoons need to be restricted to the ETC litigation.
All right, so how do we get discussion on this item at some other point in the shade?
If we get to the point where there is pending litigation, then we would notice a shade meeting during another public meeting or a special meeting, and we could the council could get direction from the board as to how they would want to proceed at that time. We're not there yet.
Okay. I only ask because it seems like a substantial amount of increase for the next few months, and we're basing this extension. Obviously, we need to do the extension in order to get the project done, but obviously these costs need to be recouped.
Right. Right now, this is not really costing us because it's being liquidated against them. That's what the intent is. So now, how does it land at the end? We're going to have to wait and see. So this is a very good item to come back and fully discuss. Let's put it this way. It's an item to watch closely. They need to clean the weeds as this continues to progress and keep going. This is on the 112, that particular area.
This is
And
on
up
Central
higher?
Boulevard.
This is actually on Central Boulevard, the airport project.
Yeah.
We're
very important.
We'll address the weeds on
It's
112 with the
yeah,
contractor there.
it's a very important section because it's like a welcoming area for the airport. So it's sad. Is there a motion for this item? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, any further discussion on this item? Any questions? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone would like to be recorded as a no? Item carries. Okay. The next item is it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah?
The next item is approval of resolution number 14-03, authorizing the issuance of MDX toll system revenue and refunding bonds series 2014B in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $280 million, endorsed by the Budget and Finance Committee on August 7th.
Okay, this is a public hearing item that we now open to the public, so anyone that would wish to speak on this item, please step forward, and they may do so. If anybody would like to speak on behalf of this item, you can come forward and speak on it now. This public hearing item is now closed. Let's continue with the discussion.
This is a continuing effort by MDX to, number one, get our debt to a point where we can fix as much of the rate on the debt as possible, as well as diminish or decrease the debt service over the life of the debt for MDX. This has been extensively discussed at the Budget and Finance Committee meetings with what I may say is full participation, if not close to full participation by all membership. And I think, Marie, I'll turn it over to you at this point to take it from here and give a presentation of to the whole process.
Do you want the presentation, just kind of the highlights? Okay.
Been discussed
Correct.
at committee, so you can come through the highlights.
Correct. This particular transaction, Series 2005, we received approval back in June of 2013. We have been monitoring the market. So there's three components of this transaction. It's authorization to refund a portion of 2005 and terminate the associated swaps, as well as refund a portion of the 2006. The end result of the transaction is we evaluated the variable debt and stressed the additional exposure we have. So this transaction is going to fix out our debt. So our overall debt is going to go from 16% variable rate to 8%. We're going to, overall, the debt service is going to go down to about $71 million, and about $17 million is associated with the release of the basis risks on the financial model, and the additional amount of savings is about $53 million. We took the 2005 series, which had a 20-year life. We shortened that life up to about 13 and a half years. So that gave us additional capacity, actually in about 2021 to 2026, which really gives us some opportunity to, self-fund or to refinance debt, early termination of debt. We kept a senior coverages at a 185. We also preserved the 2015-2019 work program for self-financing. That was a portion of the last deal that we indicated that we financed a portion of it only, and the remaining amount was going to come from self-financing. So those were the objectives of this transaction. And from a timing perspective, this transaction is, we're hoping to go ahead and go to the rating agencies the latter part of this month, price in September, and close later in September as well. We do have bond counsel here to go over the documents, should anybody have questions about documents. One addition of the documents that was not part of the Budget and Finance Committee after discussion with our legal team and financial advisors was the 2006 escrow agreement. We did include that in this package. Sorry, this microphone is going off. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain questions. We have bond counsel here as well as our financial advisor.
Marie, if you could also expand on some added benefits that we also receive by doing this, the years and the monies.
Absolutely. Actually, what we've done is we restructured our debt to put us in a position to pay off our debt earlier. I think that's first and foremost. So obviously, there's a reduced amount being paid over the life of the debt, about $71 million in total. So before we start this transaction, we would have paid, I'll give you an example of $100 million. By the time this transaction is over with, we're going to be paying somewhere like $30 million. So there's a savings there. I'm just throwing numbers out. And it also gives us the ability in the future to not be in a position to have to issue debt. So now we're in a position to actually self-finance. So we really did keep the transaction. The bonds that we're refunding, 270, we're requesting 280. We anticipate about 270 of the principal amount, par amount of the bonds. We're going to keep that is really what the end of the transaction is.
Very good. Mr. Treasurer.
I will add that we have been very fortunate to have a market that is playing with us on this transaction. So the reason for why this transaction was expedited and we moved very quickly was exactly opportunity. And I think there's a little angel sitting on someone's shoulder because it is continuing for MDX. So just the comment that I needed to add for clarity.
Good.
Madam Chair, even though it's on the record at the Finance Committee, I do think it's important to have Randy and bond counsel just step up and give us their recommendation on the record very, very briefly. John.
Randy Topol for Southwest. We recommend going forward with the conversion of the 2005 variable rate bonds to a fixed rate bond. Pay off the swap termination amount, convert it to a solid fixed rate debt service payment. The 2006 bond is an advanced refunding. That advanced refunding is generating at currently 5% PV savings. We've asked the authorization to go to 4.5, the worst case, just because most of the cost of issuance are already vetted that we're taking advantage from the 14A bond. If we go much longer, then that value will go away, and it will take a lot more interest rate reduction from this point to make it cost effective. There is negative arbitrage in that escrow, but at the current point, it's equal.
Is there anything in of the things that you stated before the committee and the memorandums that you've written that has changed since you've written it, or that you want to amend or change?
Sorry about that. No, there's no change. The market is
Then
actually.
there's no modification, so everything you said then, and the things you
No.
wrote, stand on the
Actually-
record, and that's your recommendation today?
Actually, Randy, you should point out that the market has actually moved further in our favor.
Yes, that's the one thing is our conditions are exactly the same. We have seen an improvement, and with the reduction of interest rates, we're trying to monitor the spread between an A- and the AAA. That is where you get the most value. The lower it goes, it seems like the more they're reaching for it. You're seeing a lot of people reaching for the junk bonds right now. So we're not in the junk bond by any stretch of the imagination, but getting quality credit for a little bit better price. So I'm holding my breath for a few more weeks.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Randy.
And bond
This is the
counsel.
right thing to do. This is the right thing to do at this time.
Absolutely.
Louis Ryder, Squire Patent Box. We were involved in preparing all the documents before you, so we're comfortable and they're all in order. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Are there any questions from the board on this item? The positive here is that we have a moving variable interest rate, and with this, we're getting it fixed. So the future will be stable to MDX. And we did it.
I'd like to second the motion to the,
Is there a motion? Thank you. So we have a second? Yes.
Just as a quick discussion item, I'd like to just say thank you to Marie and staff for having taken the time to brief us all, which I think is the reason why we're not asking many questions today.
Absolutely. We come
brief as
fully
well.
educated before we hit the dais. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone wish to be recorded as a no? Action moves unanimously. Informational items. Would you like something, to share something with us?
No, as I said at the committee meetings, the procurement report is included in every package. All contracts, supplemental agreements, amendments, current solicitations, everything's in that report. If any board member has any questions at any time, please let us know. If anybody in the public has any questions, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer them. I will say, as I said at the committee meeting, both of our general engineering consultants are exceeding the local and small business components of their program. And
Kudos to them.
just as I, chastise when they don't, I give them kudos when they do, and thank you for
Very good.
exceeding those goals.
Very important. And with that, we go on to the next item, which is Chairwoman's comment in this case. I wanted to address the board. First, say thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. But I want you to realize the following. What are you going to expect from me. And it's going to be very simple. It's just simply me. Okay? It's a firm, gentle, steady hand that's going to lead us into the next level of this organization. And of course, first with a nice big ring of someone calling me from long distance. Okay? What you are also going to expect, there's going to be no games. There's going to be no changing of the rules halfway when the game has started. There's going to be, we're going to follow the process with transparency, efficiency, and accountability. That's how it's going to work. For me, this is once again a privilege, and I tell you why. It's recapturing the position only 4 years later. In transportation years, it's just the right amount of time that I left something funded and I come back and I get to enjoy it and see the realities, okay? I will not be filling anyone's shoes but my own. Now, those are big. Right now, there's a lot on the table at MDX, and we're going to start with this. It's regaining the community's respect, the implementation of the new work program with new enhanced safety features, and we're already beginning that task. The making of the MIC enterprise, and that's a long journey, and leaving behind a solid blueprint for the future generations that we today will be proud that we were all part of. And I say this, together we will build the new friendly MDX, and I put emphasis on friendly. Not an overly complicated organization, just simple and simplified. We will have a lot of important items and issues that will land the agenda. So each and every one of you, involvement is vital and important. But I will tell you this, luck is on our side. We have an amazing executive director, Javier Rodriguez. We have a professional and dedicated staff, experienced consultants, and of course, you, our board, a wealth of wisdom, all sitting together for one common goal. The engines are running, and we care. And there's no better time to move it than now. So with that, we get going on to the next item, which is going to be the shade meeting. And I will say this for the members of the audience that are here. We're going to step into the room. It's a shade meeting. We may come back, and there may be an item, an action item that we'll vote on, or maybe not. Either way, we move in. And is Mr. Sirota in?
Go here. Do you have your script, Madam Chair?
I do not have a script. No one has given me a script to read into the record. We're going to break into the shade meeting.
If we can take just a brief recess, I thought that when we spoke before the meeting that you were prepared. Okay.
No, we had a meeting, but there was no script provided.
May I
No,
recommend?
we don't need any help, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you. Would you like to get Mr. Sirota to come in and read it into the record? Yeah, believe me. I'm in charge. Know how to do it. Let's go.
Excuse me.
Vamos. Deja que venga. Él se supone que iba a estar aquí. Wait for Mr. Sirota to come in, which is our legal counsel representative. We caution the audience that this may take half an hour or so. We don't know.
Better send me a text, and she says that she's gonna buy me a lipstick. I'm like, you do worse.
Well, it's a great citation that we're going to actually read. We're ahead of the time frame. At 5, we were going to convene for the shade meeting. It is now 4:45. So at this time, we're about to have an attorney-client session in accordance with Florida Statute 286.011 regarding the litigation-styled Electronic Transaction Consultants Corporation versus Miami-Dade Expressway Authority. Case number 12-46272, CA40, in the 11th Judicial Circuit, in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida. The session is estimated to last about 30-45 minutes, and the following people will be in attendance at the meeting: myself and board members, those that are present, those that will be calling in, we have some too, Vice Chair Maurice Ferre, members Carlos Fernandez Guzman, member Gus Bagel, member Alfredo Gonzalez, member Robert Holland, member Luis Martinez, member Rick Rodriguez Pena, member Shelley Fano, member Javier Vasquez, and board member Luz Weinsberg. MDX attorneys Joseph H. Cerota, Michael Ernstein, and Matthew Pearl. Javier Rodriguez, executive director. These proceedings will be recorded by a certified court reporter, and at the conclusion of all litigation discussed, the transcript will be made part of the public record. All those individuals who have not named should leave this room and reconvene in the conference room adjourning these chambers. Conclusion of attorney-client session. Okay, later on, when we come back, and remember, we might take action on the item that is coined action item A at the end of the agenda. So with that, we go into shade.
Close it. I will reopen it. This has been, okay, but then, and now we have one last item, and then we go from there.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. We have now concluded the attorney-client session. I will now reopen the public meeting. The attorney-client session has now been terminated, and members of the general public are invited to return for any further proceedings or matters. And we do have one more action item. I'm going to wait for all board members to. And it's funny, it's action item 13. It's Mickey Mouse microphones, we can't help.
Okay. This action item is for consideration and approval of supplemental agreement number 5 to MDX procurement contract number RFP 09-02A.
Good. Is there a motion to approve the supplement for agreement?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And with that, we are heading for, do you have any announcements?
No, ma'am.
Very good.
Other than we will be scheduling the midpoint plan meeting this coming month, and we will coordinate with the board.
Very good. Anybody else would like to say anything? Thank you very much. There's a lot of work at stake. Let's keep going. Is there a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned.